Welcome to the Perspective Drop, where we have real people sharing true stories and experiencing live breakthroughs. Today, I sit down with Logan, a professional soccer player, to elevate his performance and break through pressure and self doubt so that he can tap into how mindset and intention shape his reality on and off the field. These principles don't just apply to sport, but to every area of life, including relationships. And since this conversation, Logan's performance has skyrocketed, and now he's even in a serious, happy relationship. This stuff works. So let's take a look and have some fun. What's up, Logan? So why don't you go ahead? I'm good, very good. Why don't you tell me where you are, a few things about yourself, let everybody know.
Absolutely, yeah. Logan Dorsey. I'm living out in Blaine, Minnesota right now. I'm playing with Minnesota United, a professional soccer team. And I'm currently single, currently living the young single life out here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. How old are you?
I'm 23.
23. You sure about that? There's a little.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Big for a second. I just turned 23, so I'm still I'm getting used to saying 23 instead of 22.
Hey, could you do me a favor? Could you just slide over a little bit because I want you centered in the screen a little bit more?
Yeah. How's that?
Yeah, that's perfect. Cool. We want everybody to get the best look of you possible.
Yeah,
right?
of course. So center.
23, professional soccer player, single, look like, sounds like exploring that. And this is all kind of new from what Logan and I had talked a few months in the back, and he shared a bit about himself. And then, we talked about what to do to kind of change some stuff. So why don't you just give whatever's kind of going on that may be challenging for you, your current obstacle that is providing maybe stress or anxiety, a little hardship, struggle, etc. Just jump into it and let's unravel that together.
Yeah, for sure. So just to kind of go back a little bit, I was playing at University of Kentucky, playing soccer there, and had a great group of people, had a lot of people around me. And then my last year ended and was fortunate enough to get drafted to Minnesota United. And so that was kind of a big change. It was going from Kentucky, where I knew everybody, had a lot of friends, and then all of a sudden January 10th hits and it's just like, bang, you're going to a new city. You don't know anybody.
And
never even been there.
Dead of winter in Minnesota.
Sure. Exactly.
Game of Thrones. What am on the wall now? Yeah.
And it's like in a hotel with no car, like not a lot of freedom to move, especially because of how cold it is, like you said. And so it was a big, adjustment period of like, and on top of all that, my contract wasn't guaranteed. So I had to work for my contract. All they said to me was, you got 2 weeks to come in here and prove yourself. And so it's like a lot of pressure on top of all of these new obstacles that I, just kind of came into contact with right away. And so a lot of that was, super tough and still is, like you get a little more comfortable as the months go on, but, you're still trying to meet people and you're still trying to, have a social life outside of playing soccer as much as you can. But at the same time, it's hard because you want to stay focused on your craft and do the best you can in that sense as well.
So what is your biggest struggle now, would you say? Or at least let's start with one if there's multiple.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the first one that comes to mind for me is the biggest struggle is letting go of what happens on the field to when I transition to life off the field, letting everything that happened that day, whether it was in training or whether we had a game, letting that go and still being able to live, a happy life outside of the soccer world. I feel like a lot of times I'm hung up on things that are going on in soccer to where it's affecting my life outside of soccer. And those are two, you're in soccer for an hour and you're out of soccer for, 23 of them. So like there's a lot of time.
Absolutely. So first off, in order to make a perspective shift on that and to transform our life for the better, what is going on in soccer? Give me your perspective on that. Because the way you're painting is that there's struggle, there's difficulty, there's stress, there's anxiety, there's pressures, etc. I don't even know, but you're painting it in a little bit of a challenging light, of course. So jump into that.
The profession itself is it's really demanding and it's really up and down. There's so many moving things. In reality, a lot of them are out of the control of you, or like it's totally in control of somebody else. So it's not anything that you do specifically, but it's a lot of things that, you know, one day you're in the starting 11, the next day you're not in the starting 11. You know, one day you're playing, one day you're hurt. I've been through a lot of injuries this year. And so it's just a lot of things that are up and down and up and down, and that's trying to separate your life from outside of in soccer to outside of soccer, I guess. And so that's kind of been a big struggle.
Well, see, this is wonderful, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to step into soccer, and we're going to try to transform the perspective there.
Okay.
So
yeah.
What you're talking about, is this just your experience, or is this a common experience for everybody on the team?
You know, I you know, it's hard to speak for others, but I would say it is a pretty common experience just because of how demanding and how
Like injuries
things can change.
Yeah. Okay. So like injuries, pressures, and then being out of the circle of influence to control certain things. Like those are commonalities. So we're not talking about another person's perspective, whether that's good or bad. We're just talking about the actual circumstance, is that the ebbs and flows of playing one week, not playing the next week, being injured, not being injured, healing, recovering, you know, these things are they kind of normal and par for the course, if you will, within your world.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now watch. This is really powerful and important for you to understand. If that is normal and expected, why are you treating it like it's not?
Yeah.
So it's like a guy jumping into a raft and being like, man, it's really hard going down these rapids. I get hit with these big, huge waves, and then I gotta go through. And the whole time he's stressing himself out and talking about, as he's going through the rapid, how hard the rapid is to go through. And then he gets injured. He's like, man, now I'm kind of obsessed with being injured and I can't control. And he's out there doing that, performing. And what would be his mindset and the flow of his performance and the quality of experience if he dropped all that and said, I'm just going to take every moment as it comes, and I'm going to do my best to flow within the rapids, to adjust, to ebb, to flow, to be fluid within the fluidity of this circumstance. How much better would the experience get for you?
I mean, I think it would be monumental. I think the problem that I run into with that is my mind kind of has all these attachments of the way things should be.
Yep.
And when the mind creates those, and it's like, wow, like, and then you don't get it. You get hurt, or you're not in the squad that you want to be in. Like, then you're like, wow, like, then that's where the real struggle is.
Okay. So we have the solution already. So, and then we'll talk about, you know, shifting outside of work, but basically we have to step into where the area of concern is and transform our perspective there. So why do you play soccer?
Because I love it. It's awesome.
Now, that right there is everything we need to know, okay? So now I want you to imagine standing at the foot, the base of a mountain within a summit that is 15,000 feet in the air or whatever, okay? And this is your soccer empire. We think we need to navigate and summit this mountain. And as we do it, we get cutbacks, which are like injuries. We don't make starting squad, which is like descending for 300 meters before we can ascend for 500 meters. There's cutbacks, there's delays, there's rocks that are, you know, falling down, there's traffic. There's all this different stuff that's happening, and we're just trying to get to that summit. But our goal isn't to get to the summit. The goal is to realize that every time we take a step, we have just summited. So you're looking at getting somewhere you need to be, as if you can perform better, last longer, make more money, make it to this amazing space where you're starting and you're on a premier team in a premier league, whatever it is, then you'll have arrived. But that's not why you play soccer. Yeah. You play soccer because you love it. So what you're looking at when you go into work every day is you're looking for the struggle. because your mind has attachment about, as you said, about these things and the way it should go. Well, that's because you're looking for attachment and we're having the intention of expectation. We need to drop all that. So we need to let go of the expectations to summit the mountain, pardon me, and instead walk in every day and be like, how do I have fun today? How do I love soccer today? Okay.
Yeah.
So next time you're going to have to go in, are you going into work tomorrow?
No, we actually have an off day tomorrow, Friday.
Okay. So Friday, you're going to go into work and you're going to put a little reminder on your phone to go off 15 minutes before you walk in that door, and maybe 5 minutes. And you're going to say, Logan, go love soccer. And then I'm going to challenge you to find 10 things that happened that day where you felt gratitude, where you felt excitement, where you felt celebration, where you felt triumph, where you felt pride, where you felt confidence, where you felt unity, where you felt the thrill, the love, the passion. These are the things I'm going to have you look for as you're playing. So if you make a good stop and a great pass, you go, I did it. That was awesome. I'm proud of you. That was fun. You potentially score a goal. I don't know what position you play or whatever, or you defend. You mark that mentally. You have a talk from the coach and the coach tells you to do something and it seems like a criticism. You go, thank you. Now I'm better because I know this. Okay. So what we're doing is we're setting a different intention for your mind not to have the expectation, because your expectation is to summit the mountain and become very good at this and make it a career. And you're putting a tremendous amount of pressure on yourself in the day-to-day to make this work. And that pressure, which is self-imposed, is decreasing your performance. It's creating more injuries and it's making you feel more anxiety and stress. So it's kind of like when an alcoholic goes, I can never drink again. What do they say? No, I'm just not drinking today. They look at the day. When we have a mountain to summit, we don't go, I'm going to scale this entire mountain now. We go, no, I'm going to go as far as I can today. And I'm going to be present of my journey today. And I'm going to be mindful of how great it is to hike this thing. And I'm going to appreciate the switchbacks and the descents. I'm going to find awareness and lessons and gravity within every moment of every journey today. So your goal for soccer going into work now is to love soccer, which we would equate to having those positive emotions that I talked about: confidence, pride, triumph, success, of course, just having that inspirited, beautiful like exchange of unity and companionship and camaraderie, like any of that stuff that happens. Go look for that stuff on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis. Set the intention to remind yourself to look for that right before walking through the door. And then when you exit, I want you to write down the 10 things that happened that day. So this works for many different reasons. We've just set a very different intention. Have you been doing this?
Not to the extent that I want
to. Not to this intention, right? Yeah. You may catch things here and there.
Yeah, of course.
But it's not the total focus. Your focus is on finding fault and flaws, things you can't control, and you're going to find what you're looking for. So we're going to give all that up. And we're setting the goal. I'm going to have fun loving soccer, right? That is our new goal. Then every day you're going to find those things. And again, you're looking for those particular experiences emotionally: confidence, pride, triumph, etc. Then when you leave and you go home that night, I want you to write down those 10 things. I'm grateful for blank experience because it made me feel blank emotion. And I want you to write this stuff down because what it is it's training the neuroplasticity for our brain to function in a different way, finding pleasure and delight in the present moment, in the reality of the situation, as opposed to the non-reality. And I'm going to explain that a little bit, okay? So if you can do that and you write that down every single day you play soccer, you're going to notice in a few days' time, you're going to have a different perspective. And your perspective is going to be empowered, optimistic, and positive and grateful. And if you can maintain that momentum, you're going to be a better athlete. You're going to be a better team player. You're going to be a higher performer. You're not going to get injured as much. You're not going to stay injured as long because you are transmuting, you are elevating, strengthening your entire vibration, your entire conscious beingness, state of being. And this is incredibly powerful for externalizing itself and helping to transform the circumstance of soccer for you. Because you are vibrating with this vibrational frequency and it's transmitted out into the ether. And we're looking at it this is what I hear from you, being this mindset spiritual teacher. When I asked you what your biggest frustration was, you painted soccer in a negative light. You said, I'm bringing that outside of that. I want to cause separation. So you were talking about almost how that soccer was a burden that was spilling over into the rest of your personal life.
Yeah.
So that tells me when you're playing soccer, you're not having the best time. You're not having fun. That tells me that what you're looking for is the expectations, is the things you can't control, are the injuries, are the times when you don't succeed. That tells me you're finding that stuff. Do you see how all of this is like a domino effect?
Yeah.
Which tells me your intention is to go force yourself to be successful. And that's not what we're fucking doing here anymore, ever again. You're going to go be uber successful and set goals, but we're going to do that with this mindset. Okay. So can you do that? Set the intention, see it through, find the gratitude as you're playing soccer, and then record it in the evening. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's going to change things. And then this is really powerful. There was a study done with the top 25 tennis players. We may have discussed this, but it's really powerful for what you're doing because I guarantee you beat yourself up when you kind of don't get a play exactly right or your pass is off 4 degrees, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to take a deep breath and take this in right now because this is going to transform your entire fucking profession. All right? If you can do this, and it will take a little time, you will probably become a much better person and athlete and performer. Okay? Are you with me?
I'm with you.
So they did a study with the top 25 tennis players of the world. And 5 of them had something the other 20 did not that separated them from 6 to 25. So the top 5 had this one thing, and it wasn't training. It wasn't conditioning. It wasn't coaching. It wasn't sponsorships. It wasn't gear. It wasn't athleticism. It was mindset. What they did when they scored a point or did something well, they encouraged themselves through reward. They said, good job, awesome play, good point. So they took what was positive and commended themselves for being positive with positivity and optimism. You got that first part?
Repeat the very last sentence you just said.
Yeah. So when they did something positive in their sport, they commended themselves, they rewarded themselves with a positive, empowering inner monologue, a narrative, kind of little mantra. They said, good job, good point, awesome, you got it, that was great, good, good speed there, good quickness, good strike. Whatever it was, they rewarded themselves and encouraged themselves after they performed well. This is very common for athletes to do. Here's what separated those 5 from the rest of the 20 in the top tier of tennis in the entire world. When the other 20 would have something done against them where they would mess up or a point was scored against them, they would discourage themselves. They'd say, what the fuck? Where were you on that? Shit, what the hell? Why did you do that? Man, you lost it on that. Get your shit together. They would basically punish themselves, discourage themselves mentally. The top 5 tennis players would empower themselves positively when they screwed up. So if they screwed up, they said, don't worry, You got the next one. You're awesome. You got this. They didn't get that point. They're off a little bit, 4 degrees with the pass, whatever it was. They said, it's okay, man. You got this. You're amazing. You're the best. You're the best soccer player. You got this. You're going to get better on the next one. You've got this. I'm proud of you. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
So there's 2 reasons this works. There's many reasons, but they believe in the study that the people who were discouraging themselves and punishing themselves, they were more stressed out during the 2 hours of tennis play, leading to more exhaustion over that time period because their heart rate was higher and they were burning more energy and therefore getting kind of deteriorating physically quicker than the people who were not. The people who were positive, the top 5, their heart rates were lower. They were more at peace. They were more calm. So it does that with our entire system. But on the mindset spiritual spectrum, we are transmitting a frequency of gratitude, positivity, success, encouragement, empowerment, instead of fear, punishment, discouragement. And what that does is that beacon that ripples out into the ether, and it affects that external circumstance. So they are literally influencing the game in a positive measure, even though they mess up all of the time. It doesn't matter. It's about staying consistent in that space of resilience. So if you can couple those 2 things together when you're playing, I want you to be that annoying mom. That's my baby out there. I love you. I'm proud of you. You know, like where you're on the thing, and no matter what you do, you could fall in a pile of shit, and she'd be like, I love my baby boy. He's the best, right? There's nothing you could do to like upset your mom when you're playing, because she's just in love with the fact that that's her baby boy out there having fun. Treat yourself like that, but be really empowering, encouraging. Never get down on yourself. All it does is wither you away, deteriorate your spirit and your physical ability to perform.
So what happens when those negative, because like, I mean, I think to an essence, it is our human nature, those negative thoughts
100%.
come in when something bad happens. Like what do you do when those come?
Reprogram it. So great question.
Reprogram.
So what happens when you get a bad pass?
When I get a bad pass?
When you receive a bad pass, what happens?
Internally?
No, just what happens with your physical reaction. What do you do with that bad pass? Do you just call timeout? Hey, I got a bad pass here, guys. I'm just going to, or do you roll with it and try to improve and then make something great out of it, right?
Yeah.
So you don't take a bad pass and be like, well, he passed bad to me, so I'm going to pass bad to the next guy, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying when you get a negative thought. You are not your thoughts.
Yeah.
That negative thought is not you, man.
Yeah.
That is a hardware system in our brain with ego and the amygdala functioning as it naturally should function. It's a perfectly normal thing to happen. Is receiving a bad pass a perfectly normal thing to happen in soccer?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So 1, we're not going to empower the negative thought. You're just going to see it as, oh, that's perfectly normal. Here it is, my ego getting down on me. And you kind of chuckle. Okay. So you just observe and you say, that's not me. That's the negative thought. And then you turn it around. Have you ever taken a bad pass and turned it into a goal?
Of course.
Boom.
Yeah.
So you took this bad thing and you turned it around and put it into a positive thing.
Yeah.
And then were you grateful for the bad pass?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as long as it ends up in a goal, it's great.
Do you see what we have here? There's a recipe of success.
Yeah.
See the bad pass, turn it around into something positive, and then celebrate that. Celebrate that you were able to turn it around and triumph. Okay? What this does is it's going to build your brain into a new way of functioning. It's not to say you're never going to get negative thoughts, but you're not going to be as kind of imprisoned by the negative thoughts. So you're taking your power back by knowing that's not my thought. This is my thought. And I'm going to have intention behind this thought. No, I'm not going to get down on myself. So live, it's called, like cognitive behavioral therapy or neuro-linguistic programming. But basically, we're taking that negative thought and we're transmuting it into a positive thought. It looks like this. You screw up a pass or you screw up a play and your thought goes, fuck, man, I screwed that shit up. Then you just catch it.
Catch it.
Observation. Yeah, observation. And then you drop it. You just clear and be like, I don't think that way anymore. Logan, you did the best you could with that play. I learned from it. I got this. I'm moving forward empowered. I'm better from it. I've learned more. I'm improving. You can have a self like automated replacement thought in soccer of just being like, you got this. I believe in you. Yeah. And that's like the automatic kind of like puzzle piece that fits in to replace any negative thought that comes through. So you don't have to kind of be on the fly like, oh, what should I try? How do I twist this? You can just program yourself. When I get a bad pass, a negative thought come in, I'm going to twist it into, I don't think that way. I'm proud of you. I believe in you. You got this. I'm proud of you. I believe in you. You got this. Do you know what it feels like to say that all the time and then to believe it?
I guess because when you say it all the time, you start to believe it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How did you get good playing soccer?
Hard work.
Hard work what? Doing what?
Playing soccer. Just,
So how do you think you get good at thinking positive?
Yeah, you just keep doing it. You keep doing it over and over again.
Yeah, you just keep consistency. So it's dedication. But the thing is, we were never taught this stuff. You were taught how to play soccer. I'm teaching you how to play that mental soccer and be a champion of empowerment, positivity, optimism. And what will happen is you will have a better experience on the field. You will have a better performance on the field. You will become this unstoppable force. And then you can kind of really amp it up to be like, what am I made of out here? I really want to dial it up. I want to see what I'm made of. I'm going to heighten. I'm going to strengthen. I'm going to turn up the volume on my performance. I got this. Now you're setting goals.
Yeah.
But you see the empowerment is now driving forward those goals.
Yeah.
So you're not just sitting back idly being like Mr. Optimistic no matter what happens. You're also pushing yourself to become stronger, better, faster, heighten your performance. You can set goals. And then we don't visualize, we don't see ourselves winning that goal, becoming better. We see ourselves in the triumph. So you will visualize getting a contract.
Yeah.
You will visualize celebrating a 2-year deal with Barcelona. Whatever it is, your dream, you will visualize standing on the podium. You will visualize seeing your name on the back of Real Madrid's jersey, whatever else.
Barcelona.
Okay. I didn't know, so I was going to change it there,
Barcelona. You got it right the first time.
We made it clear. Is that funny that I guessed out of all the teams, Barcelona? I mean, that's pretty wild.
That's something that I envision every morning, so that's funny.
That's awesome.
That's that first time, yeah.
So we're dialed in, we're connected, which is phenomenal with all the teams out there. But I want you to visualize being that professional. So all these athletes like Steph Curry, he doesn't only shoot basketballs and practice and shoot 1,000 shots, a week or whatever it is. He visualizes shooting the shot. He visualizes getting the trophy. He visualizes celebrating with his team. Okay. So when you can couple this, there was another study that people went to the gym and worked out physically, and they got a 30% increase in strength and whatever that they were working out on. 30%. People, another group, did visualization where they stayed at home, visualizing working out. They got a 13% increase in strength without actually doing anything.
Wow.
Bring them together. Go to the gym, visualize going to the gym. You're at a 43%, and plus, that's just adding those two. We don't know the compound effects of adding the gym and visualization. I would see that boosting it up past 50%.
Yeah.
You see this?
Yeah.
So
when do you do that?
It's all about visualization and what to do.
Okay.
So set goals. What is your goal? Playing for Barcelona, right?
Yeah.
What does that feel like to you? Why do you want to play with Barcelona?
Because it's the team I watched growing up. It's my favorite team. That's
the team
that
why would that be important to future you? How would that man feel playing for Barcelona?
On top of the world. You feel on top of the world.
So visualize feeling on top of the world, wearing a Barcelona jersey, walking out onto the field, having your name announced, cheering and sliding across on your knees after you score a goal, being, just smothered with celebration by your teammates, your coach giving you a pat on the back, getting that contract, getting a home there. Visualize the emotion of whatever success means to you. So what that looks like in kind of laying that out is start from the end. So a lot of people set a goal and be like, I want to play for Barcelona. That doesn't make any sense. What does that mean? Well, like when you want to go on a vacation and you want to go to Tulum, you go, I want to go to Tulum. No, you don't want to go to Tulum. You want to dip your toes into that white sandy beach. You want to smell the sea air and hear the songbird, the birds flying around. You want to taste that pina colada. You want to dance and take a shot of tequila. You want to meet somebody. You want to go swimming. You want to take the boat. You want to feel the sunshine. You want to express this beautiful kind of feeling of liberation. You want to enjoy your vacation emotionally. You don't want to go to Tulum. You don't want to play for Barcelona. You want to know what it's like to hear your name called for the starting lineup. You want to know what the sound of the crowd is after you score a goal. You want to know what it's like to slide across your knees on that turf, feeling that energy of that crowd. You want to know the challenge of running into another opposing player. You want to know the challenge, the beauty, the thriving thrill of it. So you start with that. Do you see how now I'm painting an experience for you? And you're like, oh my God.
Feeling than it is immaterial.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the feeling is how we determine a quality of experience. So if I go to Tulum and somebody goes, how was Tulum? I didn't go, I went to the beach. There was sand and drinks and birds flying around. I go, oh my gosh, it was so great to let go. I didn't work. I was reading. I kicked my feet up. I got a little too drunk that one time. I was swimming without a care in the world. And then something hit my foot and I peed a little bit and ran out of the ocean. It's all these emotions. We describe what we feel emotionally. So you're going to start with what it means to play at Barcelona and describe that emotionally and write out a few scenes, okay? See yourself getting the call, signing the contract, putting on the jersey for the first time, seeing yourself in the mirror, walking into the locker room and seeing everybody else there, you standing with your shoulders back, your head held up high, your chest out in confidence and pride, being like, I fucking got this. I am here. I am an elite soccer player, right? You smell that. You see what it is. They got the spread of food and drinks, and it is just such a higher quality of experience. You're getting paid like never before, and you are in that stadium. You walk out. You hear the roar. You see pretty girls winking at you. Whatever it is that's important to you, you're creating that experience emotionally. So you're going to say, I see blank. I hear blank. I touched blank. I felt blank. And emotionally, I felt confident, proud, grateful, alive, surreal, unbelievable. So you're painting that experience. And then through those scenes, you will visualize them right before falling asleep at night or right as you're about to wake up before your alarm goes off. Because we're in a certain brain state and this stuff seeps into our subconsciousness, which then seeps into our unconsciousness, which is where real change is made in our belief systems. There's something in you right now where you're finding the flaws and the fault that potentially you don't think you're good enough for Barcelona. We're going to transform all of that. I'm not saying wholly. I'm saying there's like a little cancer cell in you.
Yeah.
And we want to snatch it out. We want to be unstoppable. We want to be this force of invulnerability in a sense where we are so empowered that anything that happens is happening for us to arrive in Barcelona and experience all of that, what I just
Yeah.
laid out.
Yeah.
So you will visualize that right as you're falling asleep at night. For the last 5 minutes of being awake, you know, lay down in your bed a little bit, 45-degree angle, not all the way, and see yourself standing in front of a door. Open that door, walk in, and you are walking onto the field. You look down and you see your cleats and your shin pads, and you feel that beautiful stark white jersey, and you see your teammates there, and you're standing for the national anthem, and you're warming up, and you're like, holy shit, I'm warming up on the field with, and you're just like, this is really happening. Just look cool, man. Don't be, don't embarrass yourself by being a rook. Like, you could almost see it happening, can't you? And then jump to another, like kind of like a Rocky montage, jump to where you score the goal.
Yeah.
You are just out of your mind, blissed out, so excited, and you slide across the field or you jump into the stands and your teammates clobber you with celebration, right? And then after the game, you're just torn up, your knees bloody, you're covered in dirt, and you cannot get that shit-eating smirk off your face because you're just like, that was awesome. I love soccer, and I just played in Barcelona. Like, can you feel this stuff? Like, I'm getting goosebumps, right?
I think the funny thing about it is there's an element of fear that comes in to me emotionally.
Sure.
Describe all this stuff. So,
What is that? Expand on that.
Like, it's just like almost I think it comes with a mental process of like, oh, like you're not good enough to get there, or what if you screw it up?
That's the cancer cell. So we're going to get rid of that. Everything I'm telling you to do is holistic surgery to remove the cancer cell, to kill the cancer cell. So what we're doing here is we're building neuroplasticity with a new thought process, consciously and subconsciously. So when I'm training people, I bring both worlds together. So we're going at it with both spaces. Subconsciously is the visualization. So we're hammering that in night after night after night after night. And then consciously, you're affirming all this positivity to yourself when you're playing. You're affirming positivity when you're not playing. You're finding the joy and the love while you're playing. You're congratulating yourself, rewarding yourself, empowering yourself every step of the way. And then whatever happens, you're saying, this is happening for me because I play for Barcelona. So if you get injured, you say, this is happening for me because I played at Barcelona. And what will happen is you'll navigate that. You'll get outside of that space and you will triumph through it. No, it's no problem. Sorry. All good, dude.
There we go.
So consciously and subconsciously, you're going after this stuff, and then you're going to transform that belief system in you. You have a limiting belief that you are not good enough to play for Barcelona. Prove it. And you can, because you're looking at why you're not good enough. But we're not looking at that stuff anymore, are we? We're looking at only why you're good enough. So you're going to prove to yourself you're not good enough to play for Barcelona if you're only looking at when you screw up or when you're injured. But that's what you're looking at. What about all the times you're successful? What about all the good passes? What about all the goals? What about all the things you did really, really well? How much time do you give them? How much celebration?
Yeah.
It's fleeting, isn't it?
Yeah. I want to get into that actually, because this is an interesting point that I just thought of. So like all the games, all the trainings, like I watch them back, and like I watch myself playing. And part of that is to, see where I screwed up, see what I could have done better in that situation to kind of learn from it.
Yep.
So is there a balance of that, of where it's like, okay, wow, like, this one you could have done better here, and this one you did well. Like,
you never screwed up. You're playing as optimally as you possibly can. So how can you screw up? Okay, so this is what happens. Is I want you to see when you're watching tapes, I learned from that. I'm proud of what I did. It was the best I could do, and I learned from it, and here's what I'm going to do next time.
Yeah.
Do you see the difference instead of saying, I screwed up?
Yeah.
Now there's fault, there's discouragement, there's disempowerment. You feel like a failure instead of a student learning.
Yeah.
Never say I screwed up. Always say I did the best I could, but here's what I learned from that. I did the best I could, but here's what I learned from that. And not I'll do better. I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better. That can build some pressure too. You're just going to say, I learned from this and I'll do my best. Do you see the difference between saying I'll do better next time and I'll do my best next time? I'll do better is putting pressure on yourself to do better. Now you've got anxiety and stress to carry around into that performance. If you say, I'll do my best, well, that's kind of a given. So you're not putting the pressure, but you're also setting the goal. You better do as good as you can. So you're not giving yourself slack. You're pushing yourself to perform better, but it's just a little recalibration with the way you think.
Yeah.
So 2 things about Barcelona having that fear. Look at it and laugh and replace it and be like, no, I got this. I believe in myself. Okay. Because everything I'm teaching you to do is going to reprogram conscious and subconscious state of being to get rid of that limiting belief. But it will take basically practice and resilience and hard work. It'll take repetition to hammer that in. It's kind of like, those ironsmiths, the blacksmith making the sword. Like, we have to hammer this stuff into the position, into that sword to be able to use that. And then we have to sharpen that blade, and then we have to get good at using it. That's what we're doing. I'm teaching you the very basics of how to think in a completely different way, change your perspective to transform your experience. So when you're talking about that fear, that will naturally disassemble itself and diminish over time through these practices. Are you with me on that?
Yeah.
And then watching the tapes, you're always learning. Could you see Ronaldo sitting there and going, I really screwed up. I really screwed up that one. Could you see Michael Jordan saying that to himself? Right?
Yeah.
They don't take the time to pause and marinate in I screwed up. They go, I'm going to do the best I can next time. I learned from this. This is how I'm going to improve. They turn it into a challenge of I can be better because now I know this, but they don't get down on themselves. They don't sit down in themselves in that soup of discouragement. Here's a really good story that will kind of answer your question about the tapes perfectly. It was the first year that Kobe was playing for the Lakers, and they had made it to the finals, and he was this up and coming, inspiration, and everybody was talking about this guy's going to be something. He already is. And they're playing this game, and they're down, and in order to move on to the finals, they've got to score. And so they're like, let's give it to Kobe. They pass to Kobe. He shoots, misses. And they're like, all right, we still got time on the clock. Let's do it again. Give it to Kobe again. They pass it to Kobe, shoots, misses again. Now, it's the 3rd time. Coach is like, hey, I don't know. Kobe missed twice. Give it to him a 3rd time. Kobe gets the ball. 3rd time, shoots, misses. They lose the game. They're out of time. Kobe's on the bench. His hands are over his head. He's just kind of like almost in this like grievous state. His head, he's hunched over his head, just coupled in his hands. And the commentators look over and they're like, man, look at this guy. He's giving himself such a hard time, beating himself up. And they go and they talk to him and interview and be like, we saw that at the end, afterwards, it was real emotional for you. And he goes, what does emotion have to do with it? I wasn't emotional. When my head was in my hands, I was replaying the shots over and over again. And now I know where I kind of made a mistake, and I know exactly what to do moving forward. And that's what I'm going to do. I was just learning from what I did. He lost the finals, Logan. His whole team, in a sense, he could have been like, I let my whole team down. I failed. And he could have just sat in that soup. What did he do in the next season and the season after that and the season after that? Do you see that even in the most important moment of the entire team's lineage for that season, he did not get down on himself in the negativity?
Yeah.
You're watching tapes for practice or a game. Don't you dare get down on yourself for that. Don't you bring that shit into a game. Don't you bring that shit into a finals or a championship match. It's not allowed. You learn from the past or you let it go. You let it empower you or teach you, or you don't look at it. You never judge yourself in the negative light because it hampers your growth and your performance moving forward. You learn from it. You say, I know what I'm capable of, and I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to make that goal next time. I'm going to take my time and take a breath before that pass. I'm going to, so you learn. You're not just like, no, I'm perfect as I am. It's kind of like seeing yourself like technology. Is technology perfect right now?
No.
Is technology the most advanced it's ever been?
Yes.
Will it be more advanced tomorrow?
Yeah, probably.
That's how you see yourself. I'm not perfect, but I'm the best I've ever been, and I'll be better tomorrow. But do you see how you become this unstoppable force of momentum for growth, elevating performance and strength there?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've given you a lot about being the soccer professional. Is there anything else you want to ask within that before we jump topics over here?
I think the one thing that I'm kind of curious about, and maybe this just comes with the mental processes as I practice them and put them into my day-to-day life, but there's always an emotion attached to it. Like I can feel it in my stomach or my chest to that extent, like along with the negative thought processes. Does that emotion kind of drizzle away, that fear emotion or that feeling right here? Like, does that kind of
Does that happen when you're playing soccer?
When I'm playing, like sometimes when I'm playing soccer, like maybe not win, but like before or, after going over it, or, even the thought of Barcelona gives me that kind of feeling.
So beforehand, you have time, because you're not playing live, to kind of regulate your sympathetic nervous system and to understand that emotion, when I go speak on stage, I'll get nervous. I'll get the nerves. I'm not like trembling over in the corner, but you get that little wave of nerves, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What I tell myself is, you're getting that because that's how you prepare, because this is important. So it's not a bad thing because it's common, and I don't want to make that into a bad thing, because now I'm going to walk on stage saying I have anxiety. I don't feel good, right? So all the nerves are a preconditioned response that I'm going to go up on stage, I'm going to go perform, and there's a chance that people may judge me for it. So my mind's going through all that stuff, and I don't think about that. I get the nerves, and I pump myself up, and I beat my chest. It's literally like neuro-linguistic programming. Like, I got this. I'm so grateful. I'll pinch my ear and tap myself. And you can kind of pre-do some of these things. I can teach you a little bit about it. But basically, we're hyping ourselves up before the game, before the practice, and saying, I got this. Being the motivational speaker, the locker room coach. And the nerves are fuel. They're power to step into that. So see that the feelings you're feeling and transmute that into empowerment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect of it. And then to answer your question, it will dissipate over time if you're feeling like scared or fearful or doubt or shame. It's kind of like, how your shins, I could probably kick you in your shin and it won't hurt nearly as much as if you kicked me in my shin. Why is that? Me being a non-soccer professional.
I guess I'm confused by the question.
So if I kicked you in your shin,
yeah,
that would not hurt you nearly as much as if you kicked me in my shin. Because I don't play soccer. My shins aren't conditioned to take these blows every single day. You've been conditioned. Your shins are conditioned to be very strong and resilient to those forces, okay? So when you start doing all this stuff, you're training, conditioning your mind and your spirit to be very strong in the face of competition and performance. So as a natural byproduct, you won't get as anxious and nervous. It won't bring you down. You may get a little spike, but it won't be like monumental. It won't be disability, like a
Yeah.
disability in a sense there.
Yeah.
Debilitating is the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
So it's okay to have this emotion. We need to channel it. And before, that's what you're going to do. But afterwards, say if you get that fear afterwards and you're watching tapes and you get the fear that comes in, like that inside of you of like doubt and shame, and you're having the negative thought, same process. Recognize the negative thought. Say, I don't think like that. I believe in you. You got this. You're doing the best you can. And then take yourself to the future experience for a moment and see yourself sliding across the field in Barcelona, signing the contract. Replace the negative thought and feeling with a positive thought and feeling. And what happens is that starts training our mind, our sympathetic nervous system, to know that we don't have to sit here and marinate in the negativity. We're going to quickly pivot to positivity and feel those emotions and have those thoughts instead. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So you're kind of training yourself not to think that way anymore. And then after giving this some time and letting this build some familiarity, you're going to see that you're just not affected. You don't get emotionally like scared or negative or shameful or doubting yourself nearly to the capacity. It may come in and you'll kind of see it and you'll be like, I don't think so, man.
Yeah.
Get out. And you'll quickly pivot from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Is all this resonating?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think to an extent, there's been part of me that, has done it. Like, every morning I'll get up and be like, I'm grateful for my body. I'm grateful for my health and things like that. Like these positive things have kind of actually in the past few months have kind of just resonated with me, and I've kind of just started doing them on my own. So it's funny to have this now.
Yeah, this is perfect. So now when you were really practicing soccer, let's say like in high school, and then you played through college. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you practiced soccer for 5 minutes in the morning, how great of a soccer player would you be?
Not good enough.
And if you practice soccer intermittently throughout the day for 5 hours, how great would you be?
Pretty good.
If you make self-love and self-empowerment an obsession that you're doing often throughout the day, that's what I do, of presence, finding presence and marinating in presence, finding gratitude and bathing in that gratitude, and pumping myself up with positive, encouraging thoughts regarding being a father, a husband, a mindset spiritual teacher, a speaker, an author, an entrepreneur. You become this incredibly resilient, amazing, high-performing thinker, doer, because you've given so much time, energy, and space into mental, spiritual health that now you're a rock star. And it's kind of like Kobe, he would go in and practice for an hour and a half before practice. 4:30 a.m., 4 a.m. He would go in and practice before the rest of the team would come practice. And the people that do this and just dedicate themselves, Jordan and these crazy athletes that are really doing this, if you do this mentally, coupled with playing soccer, you're just going to see yourself skyrocket in this positive space. So do the visualization meditations and then find the gratitude, find the encouragement, be that force for yourself every moment that you're playing soccer as much as possible. And then when you step away, allow yourself to recharge, but also claim that positivity and be like, you did great today. Here's what I did well today with. Let me replay that. Let me share about that. Let me talk about this. I'm grateful for the learning, what I learned, and the things that I can improve upon. You see, everything becomes this huge like show where you are just looking for the stuff to find the drive and the resilience to be unstoppable until you get to Barcelona or do whatever you wish with this.
Yeah.
And then if you keep consistent here, you'll look back and be like, damn, Joe was telling me I was going to slide across this field in Barcelona. I'm glad I got it all. That's over there. Yeah, it's I'm going to need front row tickets, brother. So I will come out to there and watch you. But it'll happen. It'll happen for you because you're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at like, if this is so important to me and I want to have the most fun loving soccer, this is what I'm going to do. And then as a natural byproduct, your performance is just going to skyrocket along with it and the quality of experience, which is where most people are not successful. They may be a really really outstanding professional soccer player, but they're never enough. And they're hard on themselves. And so that doesn't lead to the highest quality of life, even though on paper they look very successful.
Yeah.
Okay. So any other questions with this?
Yeah, actually I do have one more. So when we talked, I want to go back to the mountaintop analogy that we used.
Mm-hmm.
Is it still important to have that? I mean, I guess we kind of already touched on it. I mean, I guess it is just massively important to have that peak.
Massively important.
Yeah. Because you have all these, we talked about these attachments of like wanting things to go a certain way in order to get to that so-and-so peak.
The way you're going to see yourself though, with what I'm doing is this. Have you ever actually like summited a mountain or climbed or hiked like that, done any trekking adventures? Okay. When you're doing that and you stop for water, are you looking up at the peak and being like, oh, I'll never get there. I'm so far away. Why are there so many cutbacks? Why?
Sometimes, sometimes you can be like,
yeah, I guess a little bit. But why is this so hard? Why can't it just be a straight path up the mountain? Like if you ask yourself that, people be like, do you know what you're doing right now? You know where you are? Like, you want an escalator here, bro? Like, what's going on? Like, we're not here for that. We're here because it's supposed to be challenging. Because when we get to the summit, if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth celebrating. Right?
Yeah.
You think if somebody picked you up and dropped you off on the summit of the mountain, you would feel good about that and be like, yeah, I made it up here. You feel almost embarrassed by saying, wouldn't you? Yeah. You'd be like, so, and people are climbing up and you're like, hey, we did it, everybody. And they're like, we did it. You didn't do it. We did it. You didn't do it. You had it done for you, right?
Yeah.
So the hardship and the obstacle course is what makes us triumphant. So all the challenge is what is making you an elite soccer player. And if you accept it as this is happening for me, then I'm happy for the switchback. I'm happy for the dip. I'm happy for the rock slide. I'm happy for this because it is teaching me resilience and determination and dedication. And I'm using my mind and spirit to navigate this and conquer and triumph and realize success. And through that grind, you become a much better soccer player, don't you? Through the injuries, through the blood, sweat, and tears, you're learning about what you're capable of and you're becoming something so much more. Set the goal, but as you're hiking every day, realize that you're summiting with every step. It's not some place you need to be. You're already here now. Because I'm going to show this to you. And I hope this blows your mind, as it should. This is the second professional soccer team that you're playing for, correct?
Yeah.
And now you're looking at Barcelona, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened at the first professional soccer team when you made that? Wasn't that like a mega triumph?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Wasn't that a
Amazing. Yeah.
goal?
Yeah.
And then when you got drafted to the second team, wasn't that a goal?
Absolutely.
And then go back before when you were in college and you actually made it into a professional league and team. How extraordinary was that?
Amazing.
So do you see how your ego at different steps on the path, different rungs of the ladder was like, man, could you imagine playing soccer in college? How awesome would that be? And then you did it. You summited that mountain. And then your ego goes, we got to push back the mountain. We got to push back the finish line. We got to heighten the mountain summit. Wouldn't it be awesome to play professional soccer? Like, there's a lot of people that will never know what that is, and they love soccer, and they think that they could do that for the rest of their life, and they will never be a professional soccer player. And you've summited that mountain twice with two different teams. When you tell yourself, I've already made it, I'm already a professional soccer player, you're realizing that you've summited a lot of mountains getting to where you are, and that you won't ever have just one summit. Say you go to Barcelona, got to win the championship. You win the championship, got to win another one, got to win 3, got to switch teams, got to win a championship there. It never ends. Ego will always push back the finish line. You will never actually arrive if you're not present of having already arrived. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's powerful.
The most powerful thing you can do to reach that summit is to realize you already have. When you look down from where you came and you look at how far you've come and what it took to get where you are, you go, oh shit, I'm pretty high up here. I can't believe I fucking made it this high. And I'm looking at this summit. That ain't shit. I'm way higher than the distance from here to that summit. And one day back in yonder, I was way down there, thinking I could never get way down there further from where I'm standing now. And I made it there. And then I made it here. And then I made it here. And now look at where I'm standing. And I'm giving this summit the power over me, having fear and anxiety that I won't make it there. Look what I'm fucking capable of. I already made it, man. And now I'm going to have some fun. Now I'm going to heighten my resilience and dedication. I'm going to see what I'm really made of. And I'm going to have fun loving to play soccer. And that summit now doesn't become this huge tower of doom. If I don't make it, I don't know, right? Now it goes, I got this. I can do this. I've already done it several times when I didn't think I could. Because ego was telling me every step of the way, I don't think you're good enough to play college ball. I don't think you're good enough to make it for the pros. Oh, you made the pro team? You're probably not going to stay. Oh, you're on another pro team? Yeah, that was lucky. Do you see every step of the way? It was telling you you weren't good enough anyway. And you still did it. Now imagine if you change your mindset with your natural talent and all the positive, healthy mindset stuff and spiritual stuff that you have going for you. You're basically elevating your efficiency, maxing it out, optimizing your performance through the power of your mind and spirit. I'm excited to see where you go with this.
Yeah. This is powerful. And it's just such a simple, it's a simple thing. It's not easy to do. There's difference there, but like, it is really just like a, I think back on all the times that I've just been so negative of myself on the field, off the field, watching film, and it's just like, you don't need to be like that. It doesn't have
No,
to be. It can be positive.
but it's going to take practice. And one
Yeah,
thing I
for
want to
sure.
switch, I don't want you to say it's going to be hard. I don't want you to say, I know that we both know, but don't empower the hard. Imagine if every day you were going to go play soccer, you were going to say, this is going to be hard today. This is going to be hard today. It becomes an obligation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then we don't perform as well. When you say, this is going to be fun today, when I'm training my mind, this is going to be fun today. Let's see what happens, right? In the arena of the mind. But I got this. Let's have fun. We're taking it lightly. It's chill. We're taking a step back and be like, not everything has to be hard. It can actually be easy. But I have to think that I'm more powerful than the hard. So I won't say that it's hard. I'll say, I got this. It'll be what it is, but I got this. It's a different way to view it. It's a different perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, we wanted to jump into your personal life. And just so you see, we already have.
Yeah, we have.
Everything that you do within that soccer realm is going to spill over and improve your personal life and time outside of that, because you're not going to carry the stress and anxiety with you. So it wasn't about stepping outside of soccer and working there, was it?
No.
It's always about stepping into soccer and transforming our experience within soccer. And as an automatic byproduct, our time outside of it will just be that much better and easier, won't it?
Yeah, because this practice you can take this anywhere, whether
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Dating women.
Yeah, exactly.
Dating, doing that. I can do this. A lot of people empower the hard. The dating pool sucks. I don't have a car. I'm living in this hotel room. Well, you're looking at all the things of why this is bad, and that is the vibration that you're transmitting out into the ether, into the universe, into God, and God goes, oh, let me reverberate back exactly what you're saying to you in experience. So you don't have a car. Well, you're definitely not going to, meet anybody walking around. The dating pool sucks. So you're not going to bump into anybody where, it could be a really great experience and a good bond. There's no available girls. I don't have the money, this, that, and the other. Are you quantifying why you can't find love? And then that's the message you're transmitting out into the ether. And then we're surprised when we can't find love. I don't know why. It's because we're influencing the experience. We're creating that experience with what we believe and think. So step into dating and go, I'm a great guy with a great heart. I'm loyal. I've got humility. I'm a professional athlete, right? Pump yourself up and then pump up the circumstance. There's living, breathing women in Minnesota. That's good, right?
Yeah.
There is a dating pool. So that's good. I can meet somebody when I go to the grocery store. I can meet somebody anywhere. I can do well with this dating app. I can find this woman. She's searching for me. It doesn't matter the circumstance. I'm projecting a frequency and a transmission of being in love. And then visualize being with that woman, traveling around the United States one day in a little caravan. I remember
Were you guessing these things? Oh, okay, you said it with you, or I was like, no way, you just guessed that one again.
But that is what you visualize, and you're having that love, holding your first child, having her at the stands outside of the Barcelona game, cheering for you, crying with your parents there, and her jumping up and down. Like, visualize those experiences and then empower yourself with the reality, not the non-reality. And that's the one thing I wanted to touch upon with soccer. When you're looking at what you do and you say, I made a mistake, you're looking at the non-reality. Do you know what I mean? You're looking at what you didn't do. And you're saying, I should have done this. So imagine me going to a car lot and I want to pick out my dream car, but all I do is I'm looking at what they don't have. I'm going to feel like, oh, this sucks. It's not good enough. And there's Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Bentleys and the most exotic, amazing cars. But I want something very specific about what they don't have. And that's what ego does. It will always present what isn't the reality and then say, well, if the reality was this instead, the delusion, we'd be more successful. We'd be this. Life would be so much better. But it's a non-reality. So gratitude makes us look at the reality. When you made a mistake, that is the reality, but you still were doing the best you could. You were still playing professional soccer. You were still doing a lot of amazing things, but we're looking at what it wasn't. So for example, imagine if you're looking at tapes and let's say that you shoot a goal, okay, and it banks off the bar and you're off by inches and it bounces down, but it doesn't bounce down across the goal line. It bounces down and the goalkeeper just bats it away, right? And you were just like inches away. That wouldn't be a mistake, right? But you'd be like, okay, you got to aim a foot under the corner next time instead of the inch of the corner, right? And so you know that now, but your ego in the negative thinking would be like, you should have made that goal. But what it did is it created a non-reality. The reality is that it was very close and it banked off, but it didn't go in. Your ego then creates a non-reality where the goal goes in. Are you with me so far?
Yeah.
So what if I was another entity in your mind? I go, yeah, but what if he missed it by 8 feet? How good was the kick compared to missing it by 8 feet? So if we look at the reality where you banked it off the bar, but I present another non-reality where it went 10 feet above the bar and you totally blew it, how good would your kick be compared to that?
Yeah, way better.
Do you see that your performance is based on what you're comparing it to? And if your ego is always creating a delusion of a reality where you could be better, when are you ever good enough?
Yeah. Is there, I guess my question about that is there an element in the, professional world that is that where the drive comes to always be better, to always want to be better?
That's okay. And I don't know where it comes from, but it is a competitive ego thing a lot of times. And just people love the challenge and to see what they're made of. So that's perfectly natural. But I think there's a question here that needs answering is, how do you know the difference of when you're being down on yourself or you're going to be empowered to succeed?
Yeah.
Okay. And imagine this line of peace out in front of you. Like you're treading water in an ocean and you see the perfect horizon. That's your line of peace. When you dip below that line of peace, you feel fear, anxiety, shame, doubt, failure, grief, regret, anger, animosity, worry, panic, frustration, annoyance, etc. Anything negative, you feel upset. Mm-hmm. When you rise above that line of peace, you feel joy, excitement, confidence, pride, love, laughter, all that gravy, okay? When you look at a goal and you feel shame or guilt or resentment or doubt, and you dip below your line of peace, you are disempowering yourself with your perspective, and you are disempowering your chance at an improvement. When you look at a goal you missed and you empower yourself, you are improving your chance of higher success. So it's not to not be competitive. It's don't be down on yourself competitive. Don't sit there and drag yourself through the dirt. Elevate yourself and be like, I learned from that. I'm not going to say that I'm the best. I clearly can improve, but I'm not the worst. And I'm not a piece of shit like my ego's telling me I am right now. I'm awesome. And I'm doing the best I can. And I believe in myself. And I'm going to do the best I can moving forward. I believe in you. Don't dip below your line of peace. Don't marinate in the shame or the doubt. Quickly catch it and be like, I don't need to sit here and stew in failure and doubt to improve. I can just bypass that entire part of this experience and I'll actually be better for it. It will elevate my quality of experience and my performance and build more momentum to be even better. Do you see how all that works?
Yeah.
So you don't want to dip below your line of peace when challenging yourself to be better. I want you to push yourself, but with empowerment, positivity, optimism, and let it gain momentum. We're all going to falter. It's not like you're going to be, batting 1,000 here.
Yeah.
But when you catch it, quickly take that bad pass and turn it into something positive. Don't stew in the negative emotion. Realize you have some negative emotion and channel it properly. Self-care. Balance your sympathetic nervous system. Cold exposure, grounding, breath work, meditation, somatic shaking. Clear that shit. Sometimes you may miss a goal that costs the team the game. Okay, and you're not going to be like, well, I'm Mr. Positive. I'm going to move on from that. Not all of us are going to have the mindset of Kobe. And your sympathetic nervous system is going to take this on like you just killed everyone's family, right? It's going to be like, you're the biggest piece of shit. And you got to go jump in a cold shower, do a workout, get rid of the nerves and the threat that your body has taken on and center yourself, stabilize your sympathetic nervous system, and then empower yourself mentally. But if you're trying to empower yourself and change the narrative mentally, and our nervous system and body is rattled and carrying on all of this stress and anxiety and doubt and failure, it's not going to make an impact nearly as much as if we can just lay all that shit down, channel it appropriately, go cry in the shower. I had to do that as a grieving man for a while to balance myself, and then I can input the good positive encouragement because we're human and we're going to feel stuff and we're going to have attachment and emotion, but we don't have to linger in it. So life and everything I'm talking about with self-awareness and gratitude and non-attachment, authenticity, self-care, it all boils down to how are we going to respond to life? Because life's coming at us and we will choose our response, and that will basically determine the experience.
Yeah.
Okay? Any questions there?
No, I think it's super powerful. It's fun to kind of sit in and experience.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
What's being said.
Well, this has been phenomenal. Look how much time has gone by so quickly too. Does it feel like an hour and 20 minutes almost?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So super amazing talk. You're doing awesome. Tell anybody who's listening where to check you out to see where you're playing.
Yeah. So we play on Apple TV. Currently with the second team right now. So we're in, we have 6 or 7 games left in the regular season with hopes to make it to playoffs. So if you're on Apple TV, have the MLS season pass, you can tune in whenever.
Tell the name of the team one more time.
Minnesota United.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what will it be in the near future?
Barcelona will be in the near future, I'll be there. That's on ESPN Plus, so you can tune in there in a couple of years.
Yeah. See, you're already believing it,
It
right?
is.
Yeah, it is. That's the energy. And you're going to get me tickets to your game, right? When it happens?
Yep. Front and center.
I love it. You were awesome today, man. Thank you for sharing so much, for being so transparent with your story, your vulnerability, authenticity here. It really is powerful. And to anybody out there that's listening, watching, etc., don't be so hard on yourself. See all the moments where you're victorious and you're winning and you're doing your best, and celebrate a lot of the positivity. Celebrate a lot of what you are doing. And then when you falter and you stumble and you maybe make a mistake, give a little patience, a little grace, and then replace that narrative with something positive, empowering, optimistic, and continue that momentum. Because if you can't be your biggest fan and cheerleader, nobody else will. Nobody else can for you. And so it really falls on you to do this for yourself, and you will see that life will kind of open up for you, and you'll start seeing in color as opposed to black and white, and you'll get lucky. You'll experience more fortune, more progress, more prosperity will come as a byproduct of that. So look for that silver lining in life. Find your moments of triumph, celebrate them, bask in that glory, in that confidence, in that pride, and enjoy this journey as much as you can, one day at a time, one day at a time. And if you have a passion, or you're an entrepreneur or business person or mom or dad or whatever, like Logan here with his brilliance of why he plays soccer, do what you love for the sake of loving what you do every day. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you next time on the Perspective Drop.